Good morning and welcome to Weekend Walkabout in our gardens and yours virtually.
We're coming to you from gardenatz.org. I'm Janet McConovich,
I'm Stephen Nicola.
and we're both going to click at the same time. And our main topic today is measuring for garden design. We'll start that after we get our garden out of the way, because right now in our garden is disregarding the date. It's kind of like you have to put the calendar aside and say, I don't really know what day it is, but I know what's going on out there, because we are either in the effects of global warming, or we're just having a very early spring in our neighborhood. It's us out by our Mugo pine. Boy, I really did take a lot of wood out of that Mugo pine.
Yes, we did.
And our daughter Sonia Nicola, who's here, thank goodness, her internet was out. It's back on now, but she'll be moderating the chat and helping us out that way.
Which is good.
Yeah, which is very good. We've been writing for a long time, and that we've been putting our articles onto our website, gardenatz.org, so that we don't have to write the same thing twice. And if you like Michelle told me that it's falling down a rabbit hole sometimes just being on our site with so much stuff there. It happens to us too.
We get on it and start to do one thing and notice something else and end up forgetting the first thing that we started till the next day sometimes.
I was updating the list of in About Us. We have a resources page where we have nurseries and mail order nurseries and garden centers that we recommend, and I was updating that this week. It's updated in terms of the retail garden centers right now, and we have a list of the mail order nurseries that I'll be putting up later today, so you could go there if you wanted to say, has anybody ordered from there?
Yeah.
So we're going to do this week in our garden, and what we're doing right now. I was working right now. I just cut down that hibiscus that's down there in the corner. Just cut it down. I dislike cutting down hibiscus. The reason that I dislike cutting down hibiscus is because the stems are so spongy. It takes a really, really sharp pair of pruners to cut through them without having it go squeak and get stuck in the middle of the stem, especially when they're hardy and hearty and vigorously growing. Okay, so we've been going out because the days have been nice enough. Some days have been really nice and some days just nice enough, but it's time for gradual cleaning up and cut down. And for us, it's a gradual thing we're talking about. I went out to take out all the birdseed hulls. I took out of our two platform feeder two areas where a lot of things get spread on the ground. I took about a little over 4 wheelbarrows of hulls out of there. And while I was doing that, I couldn't help but say, I can cut down some of these things because they're garden kinds of things. And things like the beautyberry, all brand new stems from last year. And we don't want this bush to get bigger than this.
This is the size right around here is what we want it to be.
And we like the later bloom that you get when you cut things back hard. So that's it. You see the little stubs? That's all it's left, and right next to it is a Montauk daisy, which would try to be that big too. And I've just chopped those all the way down and fed the pieces to Steve at the chipper. And I also went ahead and cut down the woody evergreen subshrubs, lavender, thyme, lavender, sage, germander. So I've cut this one down. The foreground is all cut. There used to be foliage in there too, and I'm cutting all the way back. You can see little bits of green in the inside. This thing comes back like gangbusters.
It'll be fine.
And the reason that I'm cutting them down is because the newer stems on the lavender, just like the beautyberry, you can see that it's all straight stems, not branched yet. I like it bushy and with all straight stems, and those straight stems are healthier if they're only a year old or 2 years old at the base, because they get a fungus infection from our humid, hot, wet summer times. That's not what these Mediterranean plants want. When they get an infection in the new wood that comes up, it stays there, and next year it's there again, and the wood grows a little bit, but so does the fungus, and year by year they get more and more decrepit and lay out on the ground. So I've been cutting that whole patch out.
A lot of that patch was seedlings.
There were only 2 lavenders there to start with. All the rest are seedlings. Some things I'm definitely not cutting down though. This whole area here, you can see this blade stems like flopped over haystacks. That's the Pulsatilla vulgaris or pasque flower or windflower. And that it looks a little like parsley and it's there it has been there as a ground cover. And it lays down very nicely like that in the fall. And I like to leave it there because it acts as a mulch on its own. And because we're trying to keep as many things as possible in our pollinator garden over the winter and those places where things overwinter alive.
Yeah.
So I turn my back on this. I go, I know it looks a little messy, but things
But
are still
oh my gosh, there might be so many
so many chrysalises of
chrysalises
and
things in there.
overwintering things in there. It is harder to cut down later, but after we see the first butterflies flying, then I'll start cutting things down in there, wading my way through the growth. But right now I'm worried more about the things,
Weeds.
yeah, the weeds. So I was edging at our son's house and I looked, and this is a little like looking in on the playroom where young children are together and there's a fight or something going on and you're trying to figure out who did what to who. I said, what is going on here? Obviously there's grass in there and it's quack grass. But this is where there's a daisy. And if you really look, you can see that the daisy is dying out in the center.
And the grass is coming up in the center.
Right. The grass took hold in that open space when it got in.
Yeah.
So I've taken the daisy out and I'm throwing out
You
the
can see
part.
the whole part.
Yeah, you can see that the leaves are not as vigorous on the old part. They're not as big. There's not as many roots. And some of that could have been the quack grass. Quack grass is in the level path, like black walnut. It actually suppresses the growth of other plants. But I'm going to get rid of the old parts and put back in just one section. Just that section. Because this grass had come and gotten up into the bare area and it was what was spreading. It wasn't spreading so much from the lawn, it was spreading from the police paste that had gotten into the daisy.
Into the good soil.
And I debated not putting it back at all because that space is actually supposed to be the juniper space.
The juniper is supposed to be over
When
here.
we first made this garden and planted it, it was to be a low maintenance area for our son, and there was supposed to be the ground cover juniper taking over. But we put in a few flowers because the kids like them, and the juniper we're awarding it that space now.